Hi, everybody. I was watching just a moment ago, uh, like a documentary, a speech by someone who was talking about his father and his grandfather, and it was like a motivational speech. And you know what? I find it very recurrent. Everybody always to be talking about how we have to overcome ourselves and to work hard and to have our goals and fulfill our dreams and change the world. Um, I'm 71. I've accomplished my goals, and I'm still working on a few other ones. Um, but it depends what kind of a goal it is, because when we talk about having a growing economy, a prosperous society, um, building up of wealth, that is very taxing on the environment. And the environment is our chief capital that we have. So I think that maybe what we do is we're always talking, you always hear about how you can make it, and just if you give it that extra push, you get up at 3:40 in the morning, and you're out there and you're really chiseling away at it. And you always hear that. But I wonder if that's what they actually do, a form of induction to induce the population to just work harder for the big companies. And the big companies to concentrate more wealth. But they're not interested in money. They're interested in strategic power. And so, just like on the dollar bill that you have that pyramid, and ultimately you have a little tiny triangle on top that separates with the eye of the all wise and so forth. I think that the whole structure is actually, designed to be a structure of power and control. The nations, That's okay if that's the way of the world, fine, but it's not sustainable. You see, a long time in the past when they designed that, the empires designed that, the royalty and so forth, and the emperors, they designed slowly on these sort of systems, and they set them up. They really never thought about the fact that we had a finite world, that we could reach a point of consumption that we would end up consuming ourselves. So, to end up with a planet that is completely sick, with chemicals that are everywhere, that we can't get out of the water, we can't get it out of the air. Chemicals and microplastics, all of that, there's nothing we can really do about that. And these are things that we have created and that have no natural counterpart, so it's not sustainable. We have to rethink everything. And what we need to do is, instead of putting the message out there like saying, oh, you're you're an admirable father or mother or citizen, a member of society who is contributing to growth and this and that. And no. Counterintuitively, the real thing that we need to do is go the other way. Not to buy in the supermarkets, buy in normal shops, mom and pop businesses, or small, medium-sized businesses. Recycle whatever we can. Not to buy all these gimmicks that everybody is inventing all the time that's going to make our life easier. And you look at them and you go like, wow, that's a really great thing. Now you got to put that somewhere, and you got to drag it with you to be able to use it. So most of the time you use it 3 times a year, and the rest of the time it's lying somewhere, getting rusty. It also takes a lot of money to be able to buy all these things. When you add them up, they break down after 5 or 10 years at most, so you got to replace them all the time. Then it's something else, and then it's something newer and better. And it all breaks down in 5 years. Everything turns obsolete. So we have to be really careful. There's nothing wrong about spending the weekend or some time with the family and to buy go to a farming area in the season and buy, crates of fruits or vegetables, whatever we want. Tomatoes, for example. And then we can cook those over a fire in big pots, and we can make sauces and then put them in small containers and freeze those. Or we can create pickles. We can create marmalade, just like a family activity, just for fun. Right? Or we can produce that in excess and then sell part of it to neighbors and friends and so forth. Just, small time, nothing commercial, We can recycle and use, the same clothing. That's okay, as long as it looks okay. And on and on and on. Have the garage or the back, have the shop in the back of the house where we can fix furniture. Do it ourselves as much as possible. And, build a house and equip it with furniture that is basic, that's utilitarian, that's useful. Just a chair, a normal, simple chair. What else do we need? A nice, strong, resistant chair. Once in a while, you take it to the back, you sandpaper it, give it a new little coat of varnish, or worst comes to worst, you end up painting it, spray paint it somewhere, and there you have again, put some new rubbers on the bottom, and you have that same furniture for 70 years, and your kids can still use it. It's all that made out of wood, not made out of blah, 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 whatever. Go back to the mentality of our grandparents. And you know what? You don't need to go to a fancy restaurant. You don't need to go. If you want to go to a fancy restaurant, somewhere with some friends, you make a picnic somewhere in a park or, outdoors, a little bit out of the town. And you take the food that you made and you lay those big tablecloth around and a bottle of wine, whatever you like, and the kids playing around with the dogs. And you take pictures there under the apple trees or the cherry blossoms. You have a good car, buy a utility, useful car, and one of those, and drive it slowly. Don't drive too fast. 50 miles, 55 miles an hour. You're not going to have many accidents. It's not going to wear and tear. One of those rugged kind of vehicles that are designed where the engines last no matter what. Simple cars. Nothing complicated. Nothing electronic. Avoid all that. No entertainment console. Nothing. Just a car. And live, and then give yourself time just to do things in a relaxed way. You want to do exercise, you don't have to go to a spa. You don't have to have a personal coach who's going to coach you from this hour to the next hour because it's technical and so forth. No, you just, do some laundry by hand. Or, work around the house. And don't eat the junk food. Stay so away from all that. All processed food, it's chemical as if there's no tomorrow. It's been processed. The FDA has been very lenient towards the food industry, even though they do control, but a lot of the stuff that's being sprayed and so forth, all that, it's not a good thing. And then we all laugh about the Mennonites. Maybe it's a little bit too boring because there's the religion and whatnot, and they don't even have a TV or anything, no cell phones. But that's where it all starts, a temptation for the younger people. So some discipline, may be necessary. But I'm not saying everybody should become a Mennonite, nowhere near. I'm just thinking out loud, You see that sort of frugal, easygoing, like some of the Asian, remember Vietnam and China and so forth, everybody would have what we call the black pajamas. You have the Chinese hat, which is great for hot weather, stay out of the sun, and you have those clothing that protect you against the sun. And they are cool, they're very light, and you have a pair of sandals. So there's a lot of rain there and so forth. So they are using what is perfect for the environment. And that's what we should use. Where does fashion all come in on that? And where does jewelry come in? Now you can't use your hand, put it against the sun during the season, and, calculate more or less what time it is. Just gut feeling sometimes. You already know, it's got to be, 3, 4 in the afternoon. It's got that feel to it. It's not a simple watch if there's no sun. What I mean is that if we really want to have a rich life, you want to go to the theater, okay. What about the community? And you create a little team of people that like to do those kind of things. Play a little bit of music and do some theater and some poetry. And you start with little sketches. It's not, Hollywood, but it's entertaining and you know each other. And you're going to have laughs about it and everybody can participate. Everybody gets to be a star. Even the kids. Right? Sitting around the fire. When's the last time we've done that? Now it's the barbecue. Barbecue we have to go and buy in a big supermarket somewhere and drive an SUV to the supermarket to buy a barbecue that's going to fall apart on you. Just make it handmade. Or some stones and bricks, a little bit of fire, old wood from somewhere, and a grid on top of that. And it's charred and it's burned and this and that. Make your own barbecue sauce. You don't have to buy it in a flask. It doesn't have to be a brand. I mean, do away with all that whole mentality of brands, of whatever. We're standardizing the flavors of life. The great thing is, do it yourself. For example, today I was working on making some food. Yesterday and the day before, I had some onions and hot chili peppers and garlic, and some of that stuff I put in the freezer. Fine. But then eventually I said, you know what, my onions, they're going to ripe. I'm going to cook them. So I put them all in a big pot, and I created this sort of sauce, but of veggies, like steamed. And here it is. The steamed veggies. And those are the hot chili peppers. So they have onions and garlic and all sorts of spices in them. And so what I do is I prepare some rice or something, and then I put some additional, and it's not just hot sauce, but it's got veggies, so it's extremely healthy. And if I want to, I can put some peanut butter in it to give it a flavor different sometimes. Or I can put, what do you call that? That's really nice also that the Japanese use a lot. Ginger, and not in powder, no, the real thing, just put it in. And the rest what I did is with some, here you can see in my rice pot. I made my rice, so my rice is really hot. And I turned it off and I had this frozen. So I just turned it upside down, and I'm defreezing it. So this is it's got some beans, and it's got some ground up meat and everything, and veggies, of course, and everything, and good flavor. And so I have for the day, I have some rice and beans with real meat, real ground meat, and I have my hot sauce. I can make some fried bananas and stuff like that. I can cook anything additional I want. I have something sweet for afterwards. My nice coffee, local coffee from Galapagos. My son brought this as a gift. This one here, tostado from Santa Cruz Island. Tostado y molido, buen café. So he brought this to me so I can make my nice cup of coffee. And all this while I am working on a painting, because I'm a painter. And so this one here is, I'm working on it right now. It's in process. I have to glass it afterwards. The Restless Mind, it is called. And sort of slow going because all the white has to be edged with black. And then when that's done, I'm going to put in some small figurines like you can see here. A woman warrior standing on top of the mountain. Some little things in there. And then this will be varnished nicely. And it's an abstract that I'm working on, the Galapagos Islands, whatever comes out. I have a whole bunch of other paintings that I've been working on, that I'm working on. Well, some of them are finished. I have sketches and so forth. There's another workstation here. This is to ship. We ship stuff by DHL. And more working stations. And this here is another space where I work on stuff. We're having an exposition in the city of Quito in 2 weeks. Will be inaugurated. And so I have 5 art pieces over there in the city of Quito. And I have some abstracts and some very big ones, as you can see. And over here also, more guitar to play some music. I'm a songwriter, musician. This one is in the process. It's a sailboat. I'm a musician, a poet, a songwriter. I play. And so there's a lot of equipment over there, more stuff. As you can see, we're still settling in. Everything is not in due place, but this is sort of my working space right now for the time being. And so, yeah, keep it simple, keep it simple. And the money that you can make, for example, you can invest in community, in your children, education, and so forth. You can travel, and you can do anything you want. But to me, for example, invested in my children's education, that's foremost, to help them get a work ahead. And I think one of my last dreams is to buy a little piece of farmland to live off grid, because I'm renting here right now. And I had a house and everything, but then I went through some medical challenges, so eventually we sold, we went to the mainland, blah, blah, blah. I was like 8 times in the surgery room. So I have, I guess, a different appreciation now of things, but always, since I was a child, I always thought that life should be something sensible and balanced. And so, yes, it's good to have a few things, a few amenities that make your life a little bit better, like a refrigerator or electricity or whatever. But I have lived for years without electricity, without refrigerator. And, no matter what, you just In the early days, I live in Galapagos since 1972. So this was in the middle of the ocean. There was no power plant. It was very like Wild West, yeah. And so I came from Europe, very nice, everything perfect over there. I came to the big city of Guayaquil, a big city. And then I came to Galapagos, and there was nothing here. There was, not even 1,000 people living on the island. And, there was one jeep, and then it was all mules and horses. And that was it, it was all walking. And so you had these little cabins, these log cabins or stone houses, but really tiny, everything was tiny. But nature was pristine, beautiful. And so now Galapagos is more developed, it's modern, it's cosmopolitan, and you can go and have sushi, and you can la-di-da, and you can make a cruise and pay, $3,000-4,000 per day if you want to. Anything you want. But a lobster is still a lobster. You buy it from the fisherman, you prepare it. How many can you eat? It's very rich. And you can buy some sweet butter and anything you want to do and figure it out yourself and make very nice, a beautiful view. I go to the beach and I sit there and I take my lobster salad with me. I don't have to sit in a deluxe restaurant or on a luxury ship to be able to have a nice meal, because the landscape, nature is all around us. It's everywhere. And some people say, yeah, but I live in the big city and all these houses and everything is cement and so forth, so it's more artificial. Well, what the heck are you doing there? Think it over. And even if you live in the city, you can always find somewhere, a loft or something like that, and then arrange it really nicely, sort of, with Zhenju, whatever they call it now. That Oriental, I really love the idea of the Oriental approach, without wanting to be and look all like that. But there's a lot of wisdom in what they preach and what they live, the way they live. And for them, it's all about balance. So to be wealthy, to be rich, it's about balance. I don't see how I could actually live in Dubai without going on an excursion into the desert and watch the stars from a camping site in the desert. And get to know the culture of the people. The people from a land are not only, very often people that become extremely wealthy, they become very universal, very cosmopolitan. So they go very occidental. And they spend money on these sort of a Maserati and a Bugatti. What the heck does a Maserati and a Bugatti have to do in the desert? For Christ's sake, the Mercedes-Benz. Can't they buy just, drive a nice Toyota? Or a Mercedes, but a normal one, Mercedes, beautiful car. I love Mercedes. Never had one, but anyway. A lot of times we think that we are successful, and so we strive and we drive our whole life to get there, to make it. Look at how many now celebrities that we have who are living in simple homes. The heck with the mansions. And they're donating money to all sorts of projects and so forth. Because they know that there's nothing there. But by doing what they're doing and being who they are, not losing themselves in the process. That's where the real nirvana comes from balance. Ask the Dalai Lama, but more than anything, ask yourself.